Good afternoon, monkeys. Morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time it is you're watching this video. Welcome to the next video, video 11 in our RCT Classic series for iPad. And here today we're going to be building a log flume through our pirate area. One thing I love about this whole idea of using a log flume instead of a river rapids or even a splash boats is that it's something you typically don't see in a pirate area, right? And that's the whole idea. I wanted it to have that almost dark ride-esque feel where it goes in and out of the mountain. You come up, you go underneath the mountain, you come out of the mountain, and you go through some scenery, which you see here, and then go into a massive splashdown, which becomes a spectacle for, you know, the other guests in the park. And this is kind of the idea I wanted to go forward with here. And as you see, I'm building this out. One thing I like, you know, typically you'll see, at least in European parks, not so much here in the States, but your splashdown moment that you're going to have, it's going to happen in some type of a water feature or water area. So I had to go right into our river and cut through our river. And it's not the most aesthetically pleasing look, but again, I wanted to have some sense of realism to it in that drop down there. What I had to do here was minimize or shrink down our bridge there because I had this section come up, but that's something we adjust in a little bit. Now, again, with the whole idea of going into a splashdown moment into a water feature, this is something that I did in this particular area where I dropped it down and created a fake lake. A man-made lake. Fake lake, oh my goodness. And I built out this man-made lake here so that we can have a really nice water feature. And again, thinking about, you know, this island, this faux pirates island, right? There's going to be a lot of water around, a lot of water areas. There's going to be a lot of rock, volcanic rock areas. Think very Hawaiian-esque, right? Or Caribbean-esque, excuse me. So yeah, that's our whole breakdown there of what the ride's going to look like. I build out the water feature here. Now I love this idea that I come up with. Again, you know, obviously when you think of a pirate area, what's the first thing you think of? Obviously a buccaneer ride or a swinging ship ride. So that's the next thing we create here at the foot of this splashdown. So again, from a guest perspective, you're looking at, you know, this massive experience, and that's something we do, you know, a little bit later on. But I'm gonna leave that for you guys to see. So now, as we're building out our exit path and our entryway path, or our queue onto the ride, a couple things came to mind. How do I do this so that it doesn't look like it's too much? How, you know, when you're doing that, the queue lines or any type of pathways, you always end up in, or at least I feel like, you always end up having a section that just doesn't look like it fits. And that's how I felt it looked like in this moment. Now, this is where our theming comes in all of our building wall pieces and whatnot, because we're going to take this pirate village here and we're going to expand on this pirate village. And that's the whole intention of this next portion of theming we're going to create on this part of the island. Now here's me just trying to figure out, okay, what are we going to do next? How are we going to theme out this ride? So first and foremost, trying to figure out, you know, where we're going to put this ship. And I want to put it at the very end. I think it's really good to have at the bottom of that splashdown. And I can almost imagine it being like, you know, you're going into that tunnel and there's, you know, more theming on the inside there. Unfortunately, that theming doesn't exist because we don't build that out on the inside of tunnels in Roller Coaster Tycoon Classic, but you get the idea. So now, I think, again, to give that very grassy, Caribbean, overgrown feeling, I wanted to have a lot of these bushes all over the place here, and I think it gave a really great look to it, as well as adding this netting here on the side of the buildings. Again, just to give it a little bit of variation in kind of what we're creating. If you couldn't tell, the ride was extremely popular. I needed to make a couple of adjustments, so I had to close it and reopen it. But Now we've got this splashdown area. I accidentally used the wrong sand. It's so frustrating. When you make a tiny little mistake, you got to go back. You can't just undo. That's what I love about Planet Coaster. You've got that undo option, right? Okay, just a little bit more terraforming here. And again, you know, these little details are what really make it look like it has depth to it. And that's what we go after when we're creating this. We're creating depth. That's how we start at a bottom layer and build it up layer by layer by layer. Kind of like you're making a cake, right? One layer cake is boring. But when you layer on 3 layers and then do 2 or 3 tiers, you're then looking at, you know, something that we would consider masterpiece level, right? By no means am I saying I'm a great baker, but I'm a great RCT player. So, yeah, don't know where that came from. But yes, as we continue on here, you know, this is where it got a little bit difficult because the tighter it gets from a theming standpoint, it's a little bit challenging, I would say, to make sure your theming is built in correctly. And there's going to be a lot of back and forth, a lot of trial and error. And this is what you're going to run into as you're building this out. There's going to be a ton of trial and error. But you can almost imagine if you were a guest in this park, as you're walking through these buildings, underneath the station, underneath the lift, oh, excuse me, for this ride, you're walking out of this section. And then when we walk back into this section from the next area, the next themed area that we're going to create in the next coming videos, you know, you're walking in, the first thing you're seeing is, you know, the lift for this log flume. And it's like, oh, wow, cool, I want to go on that, you know? And that's the whole, idea we want to create. We want to have that excitement level increase so that it draws the guests to this ride. And if we were monetizing the rides, they would be literally flocking to something that they have to walk under and around and through. And that's how the mechanics and the AI work in this game. All right, now, see, like I was saying, how it gets a little bit difficult here in figuring out from a depth perception standpoint, you kind of can't really see what you're doing because, you know, your wall pieces start to intertwine and overlap each other. It creates a little bit of difficulty in kind of figuring out what you're building here. But I think I wound up figuring it out. And again, it comes down to those layers, right? So you're looking from the outside and build it from the inside out when you're looking at it from the outside, if that makes sense, right? So start from the center and work your way out, or start from the bottom and work your way up. Because if you build outer walls and then come around to the opposite side of it, you're not going to be able to build those inner walls as easily. All right, and there we are, just throwing in a quick mechanic. I forgot to put those in. But we want to make sure this ride keeps moving, right? This is one of those rides that's going to consistently and forever have a huge line on it, which is super exciting. So now what I did in the center here, which I thought was cool, again, bringing back the whole idea of like this volcanic rock, right? So this building was built around this volcanic rock, and that's where the splashdown comes in. Think very... why can't I think about it? Splash Mountain, duh. It's a splashdown, right? So we got the splashdown moment here for our pirate ride. I'm wondering what we're going to name this ride as well. I'm going to have a good think on that one. Kind of what I want it to feel like, right? Maybe it's like the escape from something. I don't know. Or pirates... not Pirates of the Caribbean, obviously, right? Maybe Blackbeard's Escape. Ooh, that sounds fun. Maybe we call this Blackbeard's Escape, right? And this can be our quote-unquote mascot for this area, who's this main pirate, and he is riding along in his boat, and he's got to now escape the British And how he does that, the British colonials, and how he does that is he gets on, you know, this raft as he jumps off his ship, and he has to abandon ship, and now he's guided through this cave system, which brings him through all these crazy, you know, areas. I don't know, something absolutely nuts like that. But why not, right? I mean, it's my imagination, it's my fun, right? And that's what we want to create here. We want to create, you know, this elaborate experience for our guests when they're in the park, right? We want it to be overwhelmingly exciting. And that's the end game goal here, right? Whenever we're building any type of theme park or theme park area. And what I love about doing this too, when you get to your into your theming and kind of creating a cohesive story across your entire themed area, from one building to the next, what it does is it meshes everything in, so you don't feel like you're looking at rides any longer. You feel like you're looking at, you know, a mini city that was built, and the rides were just thrown in between the city. Yep, there goes my pen. But again, this is what I want you guys to think about when you're building out your areas. You know, it's not, oh my God, like, how do I do this? Or should I do that? Or, you know, it has nothing to do with any of that. Take it, eradicate all of that from your mind, and just go with the flow. Whatever happens, happens. And that's the intention here of how you create. You know, it's a creative process. It's not a right or wrong, because there is no right or wrong. You know, it's just fun. And we're all allowed to have fun. That's what the whole point of the game is, right? Don't overthink, because the more you overthink, the less fun you have. And if you have no fun doing it, then why are you playing in the first place, right? Have a good time with it. That's what it's all about. Think very Bob Ross. And again, if you don't know who Bob Ross is, look him up. I used to watch Bob Ross videos a lot as a kid. Or on Channel 13, Bob Ross used to paint these amazing landscapes, for anybody who doesn't know. And the way he used to communicate was, oh, paint a happy little tree over here, and I think we need a cloud. We need a cloud. So that's how I want you to think about when you're building out your theme parks. Where is your happy little tree? Where is your cloud? Right? And just go with the flow. Enjoy it. Have fun. Because that's what it's about. We're here to have a good time. I love the way it looks too. Like, think of it from a guest perspective. You're walking, you know, on that entry queue or off the exit ramp. You're in the center of this pool, and you're looking around, and you're seeing, you know, this splashdown happen, and you get splashed as you're waiting online, and then, you know, it comes around in the boat. It's just super cool, in my opinion. I love the look of it. Well, of course I do. I'm the one who made it. Just kidding. All right, now here's where I came up with the idea of putting that pirate ship over there, and you'll kind of see what that looks like in a moment. I definitely love the way this came out. And talking about Blackbeard's ride, right? His ship gets shipwrecked, let's say, and this is his ship. We'll name this Blackbeard's ship, and we'll have that ride be Blackbeard's Escape, and they'll work cohesively together to create a story for our theme park. All right, so now you're going to notice here I've created a bit of a dead end. And I actually not fix it, but what I do is I build more around that dead end, so it's not so much of a quote-unquote dead end. Since it's near the edge of the map, there's no way that it'd become a lag point for our guests in the park, so we don't have to worry about the AI getting all confused. What does happen though, and you'll see in the next video, I'm pretty sure, is that I have so many guests in that one point, it actually drops, in that one area, it drops the rating of my park. Because they're all complaining about how crowded it is. Of course it's gonna be crowded. I put 3 ride entrances in that same corner, right? But that's the whole thing, right? You gotta get balance, right? And that's how I created the balance in this area, is I created a dead end, but then I filled that dead end with 3 separate rides. And you can most definitely tell the difference between the 3 right entrances, which I think is pretty cool. But that's not till the next video. And again, working through all of those edges as well, we want to make sure we're utilizing the bushes to take away those sharp edges. I really wish we could take away the sharp edges there around the log flume, but it kind of is what it is. Now, again, as we're building out these buildings, you really get to see the cohesiveness all the way around across the area. And it really does create one giant pirate village. And every time I speak to that, I think of Pirates of the Caribbean, not the ride so much as the movie, when they go to this island, Dead Man's Island. Is it Dead Man's Island? I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. It might be Dead Man's Island, but I'm not sure. But whatever it is, they go to this pirate island. This pirate island is filled with all these buildings that are all the way built up the side of this cliff. And all the way around, you got all these crazy, rowdy pirates all over the place. And that's the whole idea, right? And you want that cohesive feeling. Look how many people are there. Oh my goodness. It's like all 2,200 people in the park are in that one spot. All right, so as we're getting closer to the end of the video here, I want to say thank you to all for visiting for this next installment of Coaster Monkey Studios. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, and obviously YouTube. There you are, guys. Thanks so much, and have yourselves a great rest of your day. Cheers.